And that was a long break, but we are back. A lot of stuff has happened in free agency before we get into the draft stuff here. Chris, you want to take the first bit of the free agency signings?
Sure. So first things, I'll start with the Saints because they're the first thing on the top of my head, and so the Saints finally did a massive overhaul on their entire offensive uh coaching staff.
Thank
They
God.
finally, thank God, it was about time. That offense was 20 years too old. So we brought in Gary Kubiak, who was the San Francisco 49ers passing coordinator, according to this title. And he was also before that, he was also the offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings when, and he basically has a great reputation for developing quarterbacks, getting calling out great offenses. He's one of those kind of guys who wants to dial and punch and gives the opponent defense everything they got. I really like this hire. And he's already brought in a bunch of people from who he was coaching with at the time under his offensive schemes, and I'm really excited about it. He's brought in a new lineman coach. He's brought in a new receivers coach. I don't know on the top of my head, but all in all, massive upgrade for the Saints, and let me tell you, they needed it badly. So another quick signing by the Saints. The Saints didn't do a whole lot of free agent signings, but one in particular that they did get was Chase Young, and he originally was, or he started with the Washington Commanders his first 2 years or 3 years, I can't remember, and then he was traded to the San Francisco 49ers, where he helped them or assisted them more specifically to this previous Super Bowl where they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs, and he became a free agent and he signed a 1-year deal with the Saints. So I hope he helps out D line because the D line does need a little improvement, but I'm excited. Like a lot of good little positive things for the Saints. Um, and then going past the Saints, we'll go into the arch nemesis rivals, the Atlanta Falcons.
The one
The
thing I
Falcons,
didn't want to happen in the offseason.
yeah, neither did I, and neither did anyone in the NFC South, to be precise. The Falcons decided they were gonna go. They decided to go and sign Kirk Cousins from Minnesota, which to me comes as a shock, but also as a pain, because as a Saints fans, we have problems with Kirk Cousins. He we have a hard time beating him. Let's put it that way. So now that he's with Atlanta, he has a few more reliable receivers. Although me and my buddies, we kind of go back and forth about this, but I'm just going with the flow of the group. Um, he has a little more. He has more targets essentially with Bijan Robinson. Um, uh, Jose, who's the receiver's name for Atlanta? I can't. I'm drawing a blank.
We have, let's see, there's Bijan. I believe Pitts is still there.
Yeah, Pitts. Yes.
I can't remember the other one off the
Oh,
top of my head.
Drake
Drake London.
London. Drake London. Yeah, there we go.
I wouldn't say
So
more
he's got.
reliable because he had Justin Jefferson before that,
Yeah, I'm
but
gonna backtrack that statement there, but
he doesn't have a lack
regardless,
of weapons. He still has weapons. But the main thing the Falcons were
yeah.
missing was a quarterback because Ritter was not it in the
Oh,
slightest.
definitely not. And I believe Ritter was cut too, but
Yeah, I'm not
I,
sure where he
yeah,
ended up.
yeah, I'm not sure either. But I hope he lands on his feet somewhere, even if it has to be the UFL.
Mm.
So, but that was the Falcons' biggest splash move. They haven't really made a whole lot of other splash moves. There was a couple of other trades that happened. The Eagles traded with the Giants for Saquon Barkley. He's now an Eagle.
And
Is there
Giants
anyone else?
fans now despise him.
Yeah, Giants fans. Oh Lord, I would not want to be a Giants fan right now.
Derrick Henry is now with the Baltimore Ravens.
That's right. Yes. Oh, and Josh Jacobs was traded to the Packers, and the Packers had traded their former guy Aaron Jones where did Aaron
I
Jones
believe
go to?
Minnesota.
Remember? Yes, that's right. So that everyone's basically kind of like trading rival cities with each other. It's kind of funny,
Yeah,
but
another thing to mention is at the beginning of free agency, the Cowboys did not resign Tony Pollard. He is now with the Tennessee Titans. And as of, I believe, today, the Cowboys have re signed Ezekiel Elliott.
they did. I don't know the extent of the contract details, but he was re-signed today, which is kind of funny. It's like he just left them and did one whole 360, and he's right back where he started.
Yep.
So, but
I'm
those were the major highlights of this off season, and that will kind of just direct us to the draft. Would
Well,
you say?
there is a couple
Or
you're
did
still
you
missing.
add?
Russell
Oh,
Wilson is no longer a Bronco. He's a Steeler.
oh,
So is Justin Fields.
that is true. Yes, I forgot
There's
about
there's
him.
been a lot of quarterbacks getting tossed around in the offseason. Um, Michael Thomas
Oh yeah.
is no longer with the Saints. He is gone, which honestly, it's about time.
Yeah, and as a Saints fan, I really loved Michael Thomas, but he just hasn't been there for us. He's just been too injury prone these last 3 or 4 years. It was just about time to let him go.
Yeah,
But I just want to thank Michael Thomas for those years. He was out there lighting up defenses, catching everything that was thrown to him. Thank you for everything. Thank you for making us contenders. We won't forget you, man.
yeah.
But best of luck in your future.
And before we move on to the draft stuff, there's one more I have to mention. And I hated this.
Oh
Y'all know how
no.
I feel about this man.
Oh
That
no.
Stephon Diggs has been sent to the Texans. Why?
Uh, we don't know. All I can say is Texans, good luck. And as for Bills fans, they're probably celebrating right now. And I know one in particular. I shout out to my CEO at my job. Um, yeah, he's a diehard Buffalo Bills fan, and let's just say he was having a party.
We'll
He,
we'll speak more on the Bills when it comes time for their draft pick, because that was an interesting can of worms
yeah,
they opened.
yeah, we will discuss that in just a moment.
But let's get on to the 2024 NFL Draft. We will start as usual with the Saints, followed by the Texans and the Bengals, since those are the three main teams we follow. Uh, for the Saints, our first pick from round one. Uh, I do not know how to pronounce this man's first name. Is it
I think it's
Talise?
I think it's Talise Fuega, from
Yeah,
what I've been
offensive
hearing.
tackle from Oregon State. I'm glad they're strengthening that O line because God knows we need it. The O line has struggled for the past couple of years. I am very happy that they're getting someone else to help out over there. We also got another OT from Eastern Kentucky in the 7th round. As long as they can pull their weight and do their job, I think these are great additions. Our
Yeah,
second round pick, though, is what's got me a little excited. Kool Aid McKinstry from Alabama. That
I'm already naming my fancy team after him because that's just a really cool name, man.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
we as LSU, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M fans here despise Alabama, we recognize this man was a menace.
Yeah, and just to point out that getting Kool-Aid McKinstry was actually a steal because he was technically a top five cornerback entering this draft, and the fact that he fell to us at pick 41, in round two, that's a steal. Like there was like literally the whole first round of the NFL draft was literally nothing but offensive players. Nope, there was like maybe one or two defensive players picked, but overall, there were a total of 26 out of 32 players that were offensive players. That's an NFL record, which is crazy. And yeah, so the fact that he fell to us at pick 41, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And
And speaking of people falling in the draft, our third pick was in round 5, and oddly, a quarterback, Spencer Rattler from South Carolina. Chris, I know you've expressed some concern for this. Why don't you explain?
sure. So Spencer Rattler, my only, my, I would say my two concerns is his playmaking ability. Now, well, I've seen his footages over the years, and I would say his first year at Oklahoma, he really shined. His second year, I yeah, his second year he
Technically, it would
started
be
off.
his second year because his first year at Oklahoma, he only had 11 passing attempts. He didn't play
Mm,
very much. His second year in 2020, he actually did really well.
yeah, so but yeah, with that being said, he started off good, but then he kind of took a dip downhill, and it wasn't like a massive downhill. Don't get me wrong; it's not like he just nosedived or anything like that stat wise, but it just seemed like he couldn't get back on his feet. And I've seen him when he was with Oklahoma. I saw a game or two, and he just looked like he was struggling out there. So then he eventually transferred to South Carolina, where I got to see him a lot more. And I would say I would say he impressed me a little bit more when he held it tight against Georgia and Alabama, those two particular teams, but he still couldn't get the job done. But overall, I don't hate this pick necessarily. I'm a little concerned about his playmaking ability and the second thing would be his decision making. Um can he like not throw the ball away or can he make smart passes? That's my
Yeah,
other thing.
which that is a valid
Uh
concern because looking at his stats here in 2023, he had 19 touchdown passes and 8 interceptions. And in 2022, he had 18 touchdowns and 12 interceptions.
yeah, so that would be my second concern, but I like the potential. This is going to be my pros list. I like the potential that he shows on the field. He shows that he can be an elite quarterback when he's doing the right things. So under Gary Kubiak's system, and that's assuming he does make the team. I would assume he makes a team compared to Nate Peterman that we just picked up and the other goofball that we also picked up. um, assuming he makes the team, I would assume that he will probably be someone that Gary Kubiak wants to groom over time while Derek Carr's taking care of things with us.
Mhm.
I'm excited. So of course, I hope he addresses those concerns, and if he does, then I'm in good. We're in good
Yeah.
hands.
As
So
far as like his passing abilities, like I was saying before we started the podcast, it seems that in the 4 years that he actually played, I'm not counting that first year in 2019 with 11 attempts, but every other year he has played, whenever he gets over 300 attempts, he has 3,000 plus yards in a season. The one season in 2021 where he only had 187 attempts, he had 1,400 yards, but still, he doesn't seem to be terrible. The one thing I'm looking at here is when he was with South Carolina in 2022, he got sacked 31 times, and in 2023 he got sacked 40. I don't know if that's necessarily a him thing. That might have just been offensive line being terrible, but it's a slight concern. I need to see
yes,
more.
exactly, and that's why I'm kind of excited to see him for preseason coming up, which won't be until August, sometime in August. We haven't gotten the schedule yet, but at some point, I would really like to see him light up the field come preseason. I want to see what he's made of.
Yeah,
I want to quickly say that we have Clint Kubiak, not Gary. just
Oh,
just FYI.
whoops. Wrong Kubiak, but yeah, carry on.
Yes.
although with the corrections.
Thank
But
you, Paulo.
let's move on to our
You're
next
welcome.
pick. After Spencer Rattler in the 5th round, we also picked up a wide receiver, Bub Means from Pittsburgh, which I can't help but chuckle at that name,
The
who actually doesn't seem too bad. I was looking at his stats earlier on the ESPN website, and he actually started at Louisiana Tech before
Did he
he
now?
went to Pittsburgh.
I did not know that.
This past year with Pittsburgh, he had 41 catches, 721 yards, and 6 touchdowns. What I like from this guy is the fact that he's a big guy. He's fast, but not in like how do I say this? He's not like a Chimera kind of fast. It's like a power run kind of thing when you watch the footage. He's
Yeah.
also like he kind of towers over some of these guys that are lining up against him. A lot of things that I've seen in his highlights were the quarterback overthrowing a good bit, and because of his size, he can just reach up and compensate for the overthrow and pull in the ball, which I'm interested to see how he does.
Yeah, I got to see some of his highlights on a random highlight reel that I saw on Twitter, and I'm not gonna lie, he kind of possesses a very similar Michael Thomas physicality when it comes to his playmaking abilities, catching, running, route running, etc. So, and ironically, someone did it like a comparison to him. He is incredibly similar. He's only like an inch shorter than him. He's got a very similar range of motion. And in terms of yardage, very awfully similar. I don't have the stats in front of me right now, but um, I just thought I was kind of interesting about Bub Memes and his physicality on the field. So I'm really interested to see how he goes about with the Saints.
Yeah, which I want to mention here some of his other stats from the previous years. Uh, he didn't get as many targets in the 2 previous years, but in 2022, 27 targets or 27 receptions, 401 yards, 2 touchdowns, and at Louisiana Tech, 22 receptions, 430 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And his long for each of these, 2023, his longest was a 75-yard reception. 2022 was 45, and 2021 was 72. Just a little
Interesting.
side note.
Well,
But it's nice
that's
to see that he already had ties to Louisiana.
yeah, we got a little raging Cajun in him. So welcome back home, buddy.
But after
But
him, we have the last pick in the 5th round, Jalen Ford, linebacker from Texas. I'm happy with this.
me too,
I've
because
watched plenty of Texas games, and I remember this man.
oh yeah, same here. And I watched him play against Alabama twice in 2 years, and he was all over the field against Bama. I was like, "Ooh, I like this. Ooh, yeah, I like this guy."
I'm
Like,
glad we're getting some more help on defense because God knows that with all the injuries we were having last year and some players that we've had was it retire, I believe, in the offseason, we need to bolster that defense.
yeah, especially at linebacker, because I'm not sure how much longer Demario Davis has.
Yeah.
Um, got how many years he's got left in him. I would imagine maybe 1 or 2, if we're lucky, maybe 3. I highly doubt it. But picking up a linebacker that shows a lot of great potential, and we've seen it on film with any games that we've seen. I like his ability to make plays on the defensive side of the field, cause pressures on the quarterback, forcing turnovers. That's something you need out of a linebacker, and also stopping the run, which is something the Saints defense regressed in last season, which would be huge
Yeah.
for us.
And our
So
last pick, because I've already mentioned our 7th round pick, the offensive tackle from Eastern Kentucky. Our 6th round pick was Christian Boyd, defensive tackle from Northern Iowa. This guy I don't know much about. I haven't seen his highlights. I don't know if it's the same for you, Chris. Have you seen anything about him?
not really, no. I have to do a little more. I should have done a little more digging before we did this, but oh well.
But
So
overall, I am happy with what the Saints have done. We strengthened our O line. We strengthened our depth on defense. Got some really good pickups on defense, and possibly a quarterback for the future. Possibly, but
O-
time will tell on
Only
that.
time. Exactly. And while we probably won't cover all undrafted free agent because there's like hundreds of them, there is one in particular I did want to like point out. I gotta find his name. Unless Jose, do you have his name on file by chance?
I do not.
Okay, well, we'll come back to that. So,
In the meantime, Will, you ready to move on to the Texans?
Yeah, but I think y'all forgot about Paulo. I mean, Paulo's here.
I'm here.
He ain't been wanting to jump in for anything. It ain't my fault.
Well, I mean, you guys have kind of just been back and forth about you and Chris.
He could jump in
Hey.
anytime he wants.
right.
Poor Paulo.
Could have interrupted me.
I didn't forget
I'm
about
here.
you, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
Well,
I said
I'll
the thing
never
about Clint
forget you.
Kubiak. That was
Yeah,
my
he did
moment
say
to
that.
shine.
He did.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
Paulo, did you have any other thoughts on this then?
Now, yes.
Not really. I'm
Yeah.
glad that we for the Saints, I'm glad our first pick we had went to O-line. I know y'all wanted to get a receiver, but I'm glad it went to O-line.
Yeah.
With Hurst retiring and with our O-line being bad as it was, like we needed O-line desperately.
As much as I
Not to
would have
mention-
wanted them to get Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU, it wasn't going to happen. I knew it. I am
No.
glad they went for O-line.
Yeah, not to mention Ryan Ramczyk and his sudden season-ending knee problem that he had earlier this year. Yeah, that's what we need linemen more than ever.
But let's go on to the Texans. Will, how do you feel?
How do I feel? I feel pretty confident, actually. Like, not just with our draft, but actually free agent signings. Some people, we had some big name losses though. To start off free agent, like back to back too. Like we took 3 or 4 hits right off the bat, but with a lot of defensive players between Grenard, Cashman, and Sheldon Rankins, like 3 key pieces. But I mean, they responded, and like Chris said earlier, like even with like the Eagles and Giants, like there's this offseason, there was a lot of free agency signings and trades amongst like division rivals, which is weird to see because you want to be better than the other team, but yet you send players to them from your team. Which Houston did the same thing. Like we went and got Alshire and Autry both from the Titans, like right off the bat, like to replace Rankins and Grenard. Like how are we gonna? And we've done that for years with the Titans. It seems like where we let someone go and they go sign there, or someone leaves there and signs with us. That seems to happen for whatever reason. But the biggest one, the biggest signing and free agent for them would be Diggs, like Jose said, who disgraces the man because he produces poorly in fantasy for Jose. So add another one to the list.
In
once
addition to
again.
the off-the-field drama.
So,
But I would say
and-
another big signing y'all had was at running back with Joe Mixon. That's a big one.
Yeah, especially
That is a
after
big one.
getting Singletary walk like we did, which is, sucks because Singletary really stepped up and became that RB1 because Pierce didn't have a great bounce back season. So, but Houston's known for that. Houston's known for having these free agents as they pick up have great years and then letting them walk, for whatever reason. And then it turns around and it bites them. But no, offseason was great. We'll see what drama Diggs has over here. I mean, there's a lot of mouths to feed on that offense between him, Nico, Tank, Mixon, Dalton Schultz,
Mhm.
Noah Brown as well, like Reverend Jordan. There's a lot of mouths to feed on that offense, so it's going to be interesting to see how they use everyone, not including those that they picked up in the drafts. But my favorite thing about this draft is from years past when O'Brien was around or Kubiak was around, was that they actually sat down, Nick Caserio and D'Amico Ryans, and looked at actual legit concerns for the team. I mean, they went heavy in the free agency signing with defensive backs. Like we signed 6 additional defensive backs in free agency.
Who was that one
and
you got from Minnesota? I can't remember his name for the life of me for some reason.
the Jeff Okuda.
I don't know if it was Okuda or if it was somebody else.
Yeah. But I mean, they went after 6 defensive backs. I mean, we got torched a lot in the secondary. But not only that, they continued into the draft. So they really came up with a game plan and they hit it. First pick of the draft, which was in the second round, was a cornerback out of Georgia who had, which like Chris said earlier, talking about having a steal, and Kool-Aid McKinsey over there. So was Kamari. Kamari's a massive. When I really started looking at his footage, like a massive steal in the second round that far down and what he can do. And then the offensive needs, like linemen, just like a lot of teams, they addressed it going after a Notre Dame tackle, and it just continued. Or I mean, right back to a defensive back pick out of USC. And I think the craziest one, me and Jose talked about this actually over party chat one night, was talking about how they were listing the tight end as a need, even though they just signed Dalton Schultz. But Schultz is known to be, have a few injuries that are ailing, and we saw that last year. That's why Brevin Jordan had to step up. But they go and get this kid out of Ohio State that already has chemistry with Stroud, who's massive. Cade Stover is his name. He's just a big tight end. Like, it's ridiculous how big he is. But he had last year he had 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns, which is ridiculous. And to add that behind Dalton Schultz and for him to learn, that's going to be so massive for that offense if Schultz gets hurt or they start running a 2 tight end set. But I mean, the draft picks just continued defensively. They went and got 1, 2, 3, 4 more defensive players with the rest of their picks in the late rounds. From Oregon, a linebacker, a defensive end from USC again. Thanks for that draft pick, New Orleans. And a D tackle out of Auburn.
The D tackle out of Auburn's actually a really good pick as well. Looking at his stats the other day, I don't remember them off the top of my head here, but I remember they were very impressive.
Yeah, I think the most surprising for these picks, though, for me would be running back.
Yeah,
I didn't think running back was really on our list to watch out for, but I mean,
his stats though are pretty good.
Yeah, Casario and D'Amico thought so, and they went and got this kid out of Louisville. I mean, you already have Mixon, but Mixon's up there. You have Pierce, who's trying to still bounce back, and now you throw in Jawar Jordan. So overall, our draft, I think I'm like, nothing about this upsets me. It actually pleases me to see that they went a game plan and said, hey, this is what we're doing in this order with the picks we have, and they actually executed it. And I mean, majority of more defense is what killed us last year. Offense was on fire, and they just continued to build on that this offseason. So, hey, I think, in all honesty, I think A minus, A minus with the draft that they had.
Yeah. That's honestly about what I give the Saints as well.
And that's not having a pick till the second round, like,
which is insane.
But we saw how many offensive players really went in the first round, which it wasn't much that Houston needed. So, and I mean, a lot of these were, I think, are definite steals, especially Cade Stover, getting a tight end that late, as big as he is, compared to, some of the other tight ends that went a little earlier in the draft that were a little, in my opinion, a little bamboozling on why they went there. But
I just want to mention the running back stats from this past year in college. 181 attempts, 1,128 yards, 13 touchdowns. His season long was a 74-yard run, and he averaged 6.2 a carry. Nothing bad at all from that.
No, especially out of Louisville like that.
I think both the Saints and the Texans have done a great job with this draft for once.
Yeah, I would give the Saints an A minus and for this draft. Better than I would say better than the last 2 years worth of draft picks, of drafts, that is. Not saying that the last couple draft players from the draft that we got were complete duds, but there have been a couple hit and misses over the years. So this one, I just feel very confident that they're going to make an immediate impact to the team. Now, of course, and I have to hold back my full excitement because we have a certain guy who's coaching this team. Starts with a
He gets one
D
more
and start.
year.
Hmm.
He gets
Yes,
one
you
more
have
year.
Dennis Allen. This is my last chance with you. You get us to the playoffs this year without falling apart like you've been doing the last 2 years. You will win my respect. But if you fail, because you know what happens when you fail, you're out. That's the
At
bottom line.
least you
This
hope
is your
he is.
last chance.
There's no guarantee, but
Y-
this
Yeah,
should be
we
his
hope.
last chance. Everything that we thought was wrong last year has pretty much been changed. He is the only thing that remains. If the Saints still struggle with all these changes, then he's got to go. That's the bottom line.
100% agreed. Because I can't take another year of us playing like absolute dog crap. And yeah, I just can't take it anymore. Like, we have to get back in this. We're in probably right now the most winnable division. Yes, I know the Buccaneers won it 3 years in a row, but the division also stunk 3 years in a row. So yeah, we gotta at some point take this division away before the rest of the NFC South catches up.
I don't think we'll have
So
to necessarily worry too much about the Panthers, at least not for another year. I don't think they're going
yeah,
to be that great this year yet again.
not
They
yeah.
I'll address that later though. But I want to mention before we move on to the Bengals here, uh, with the end of this NFL draft, the Deshaun Watson trade for the Texans is officially complete. Every pick that was taken in that trade has been used. It's over.
Yep. And the
Sure.
pick that they got in exchange, the sixth rounder with Deshaun Watson, they in turn gave away in the Jerry Jeudy trade. So
Yeah.
they really just got Deshaun Watson and then part of Jerry Jeudy.
The Texans are the clear winners in that trade. There's no debate about it. They robbed the Browns.
Oh, definitely. Hardcore highway robbery. Mm-mm.
Now, moving on to the Cincinnati Bengals, I do have a slight concern with what they've done in this draft. As we all know, the Bengals' offensive line has not been great, but they did get a little help there. They got an offensive tackle from Georgia with their round one pick. But after that, for the most part, everywhere I look on this list is defensive players. There's a lot. Round two, defensive tackle from Michigan. Round three, defensive tackle from Texas A&M. Uh, round five, cornerback from TCU. 6, an edge from Mississippi. There you go, Chris.
Hey,
There's your boy.
there's my boy.
Safety
Hotty
from
toddy.
Mississippi as well, and a defensive end from
Hey,
Texas Tech.
let's go.
They went a lot of defense in this draft. They did get a little help on offense, though, which this one actually raises a question for the whole T. Higgins thing going on right now. Because round 3, they drafted Jermaine Burton from Alabama, wide receiver. It makes me wonder if they're
Interesting.
actually going to trade Higgins or if he's going to stick around. Or is he just
Well,
there to help bolster that receiving core? Because we know that they've had some injury issues last year with both Higgins and Jamar being out for a couple weeks at a time.
Well, I mean, drafting a receiver doesn't necessarily mean anything in terms of the T. Higgins thing because you already have to replace Boyd, who's not there anymore. You've got Trent Irwin, but I mean, you throw a rookie in there, and combined, maybe they equal like the veteran, reliable number 3 that Tyler Boyd was. I hope T. Higgins sticks around, but I don't know if that is gonna impact the trade potential.
who knows?
Yeah, I'm looking here, and out of the 10 draft picks that the Bengals had, I see 4, I believe, here that are not defensive. We've already talked about two of them, offensive tackle and wide receiver, but they also drafted two tight ends in round 4, Eric All from Iowa, and in round 6, Tanner McLaughlin from Arizona.
Hmm.
I'm glad that they're strengthening their defense, but I don't know if one addition to the offensive line is enough. Y'all might need a little help. Y'all don't want Burrow being out for half the season again.
Well, they technically have two, but of course one guy's a center, so I'm not sure they're planning on converting him to somewhere else on the line. Because I mean, I feel like anyone could hike the ball. So, but then again, I don't play offensive line, so what do I know?
Yeah. But I think
Um,
the Bengals did all right. I'd say like if I have to give a grade, I'd say like a B plus maybe, because their defense was not doing great for a long time last year. They had their games every now and then, but they were struggling.
yeah. So now, just to make my shout outs to the two Rebels that they drafted, Cedric Johnson and Dejon Anthony. In particular, to say Cedric Johnson, and I'm sorry to my LSU buddies here.
Yeah.
Um, so Cedric Johnson is let me rephrase that. He's famously known for knocking the socks off of Jaden Daniels during the Ole Miss LSU game last season in that crazy shootout game that we witnessed.
Amazing game. Don't care who won or lost.
Yes. So the fact that the Bengals got him, I would hope that Jaden Daniels doesn't go up against him, or else 90 night
Please
Jaden Daniels.
no repeats. I don't want that man getting hurt. I don't want him getting RG3'd.
Speaking of the Commanders, I feel like
Wait,
maybe we ought to.
there's one
But
more thing I want to touch on here. Will, what do you know about this defensive tackle they got from Texas A&M? McKinley Jackson. Does that name ring a bell?
Yeah, he's an absolute unit on the defensive front. Yeah, I mean, he was a big reason on why the run game against them was almost non-existent. I mean, we saw it a little bit. I mean, the four of us were at the the
Well,
LSU game. The three
not
of us are
Chris.
at the LSU game. Yeah,
yeah,
but I
not
mean,
me.
watching the LSU game, I mean, Jose and Paul can attest to it that the run game, inside run game with the running back was really
Non-existent.
non-existent. They had to bounce it outside a lot, or Daniels had to break pocket, but he was a major factor in that. So for them to, because I think they did, I could be wrong, but if they lost DJ Reader, that's why they went after him. I don't remember. I know there was talks of DJ Reader leaving Cincinnati. So if he did, which I'd have to double check, that's why they went after him, is for that specific reason, to replace him at that D tackle, that nose tackle spot, to stop up the middle. So I mean, I think that's a great pick for him. It's just going to be, he's going to fit right in on that line really well for them. So I'm
I can
happy that happy he went there. I don't like to see A&M Aggies go to division rivals. So if they go anywhere else, just about, I'm happy for them, especially a team like Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And I can concur with what Will said, because when we went up against him, when I say we, I mean my Ole Miss Rebels, in that crazy game against Texas A&M last season. He was hard to run against. I won't lie. Like, every time we try to go up against him, he just shut us down quickly. So every day I'm wondering, how in the world did we win that game? But yeah, Texas A&M, they had some really good defensive line players, so I tip my hat off to them.
Yeah. I think the Bengals did pretty good here. Now, I feel like we should probably go over a quick recap of the first round. I don't think it should be a surprise of who went first. The Chicago Bears with the number 1 overall pick, which they got from the Carolina Panthers in that trade last year. They chose Caleb Williams, which, like I said, I don't think anybody's surprised by that. I think it was pretty much
Nope.
expected at this point.
Bust.
I don't know necessarily. He's got red flags, but I need to see him, like, I need to actually see him play in the NFL to know.
He's got some red flags, but most of them are off the field things, not necessarily his play. And he's just honestly, if he's halfway decent, then he's in a great situation. Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, DeAndre Swift, Chicago's been building the defense like over the last 2 years.
Mhm.
Cole Kmet, I think, is still there, pretty sure. And then they drafted what was the receiver that they drafted?
Rome Odunze, I believe.
Rome Odunze. If that's
Yep.
how you pronounce his name.
Yeah, Adam was
Yep.
at Washington.
Yep.
They
So
also
you
not only
gotta.
did they have Cole Kmet, they went and got Gerald Everett, who was the
That's who
Chargers
I was.
starting tight
Not to
end.
mention who
Like
they have at
Gerald
running back
Everett
now
is
that they got from the
massive.
Eagles.
Yeah, and then you go and get DeAndre Swift. But to have Gerald Everett, he's like a young, he's like another version of Antonio Gates, just based on his size. Like that's such a big tight end. I mean, Cole Kmet's a great tight end, but Gerald Everett is just so big, dude. It's
We've
ridiculous. I
been
mean,
we've been
it's
talking about this for like a
ridiculous.
month now, where like we're talking about Cole Kmet, and then I'm pretty sure I've said it like 2 or 3 times that they went and
Yeah,
got another tight end too, and I
you
just
just can't
couldn't for the
remember.
life of me
Yeah,
remember
yeah. The
who it was.
Chargers kind of just, we're talking about with off-season moves and everything. The Chargers themselves, I mean, let's be honest, they kind of self-imploded on offense. Like
They lost a lot.
Gerald Everett's gone,
Yeah.
Keenan Allen's gone, Mike Williams is gone, Austin Eckler's gone. Like
Yeah.
you have
You
Quentin Johnson,
Yeah, good
who
luck with
Justin
that.
Herbert's throwing to. Like they went and
I
got
mean,
Joe
you
Alt
kind
with
of.
their pick. Like Joe Alt's great. I mean, that's good because God, they knows that O line needs help, but you lost 4 targets, like 4 major targets, not just small targets. You lost RB1, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, and a tight end 1, like all within the same
I
offseason,
think the
within
best way to
week
sum it up,
days.
Will, is by I don't know if I might be able to find that image to put it in here for reference when I edit this, but there's one I saw the other day of people were really wanting them to get Malik Neighbors,
Oh
and
yeah,
the little image somebody made was of the O line without Joe Alt, and it's Herbert getting blitzed and absolutely missing Malik Neighbors, or the O line with Joe Alt and he throws to Johnston and Johnston drops it.
yeah. The other thing I can think of is like was it Alec Baldwin holding a trench coat, just looking around in a blank space. Like that's what Herbert's about to be looking at this season. Standing behind that O line is like the O line's great, but he's got nowhere to go.
Yeah, but you kind of like I get it. Like you brought in a coach who you aren't gonna fire after the season, no matter how bad it is. You've locked him in for years. Um, and now like I mean, you bring him in, he's gonna want to build the team his own way. And like as long as like organizationally they accept that they're not gonna compete this year, then like so be it. Like if you need to clean house and build the team like the way you want to be able to like compete in the next year and years to come, then I mean it is what it is. Like Eckler's not getting any younger, Keenan Allen's not getting any younger. Like you might as well make those moves now than like in the next years have to replace like key people every year.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how the Chargers go about things.
Yeah, we did jump ahead a little though. Let me see, what were the Chargers? Were they 4, I think?
I think so, and they picked an
Or
offensive
no, they were
guard.
5. They were 5.
Oh,
Pick number 2, which I think there was a conversation that
Commanders.
it could go with either Drake May or Jaden Daniels, but the Commanders did settle on Jaden Daniels from LSU. I'm glad my boy got a spot. Disappointed it's the Commanders, but hey, he made it.
Yeah,
I'm glad to see that the Commanders. I think a lot of what they did in this draft was just strengthening the defense. A lot of defensive players I'm seeing here: defensive tackle, cornerback, linebacker, safety. They did, however, one of the main things I'm looking at here is they gave Jaden a weapon. Luke McCaffrey, brother of Christian McCaffrey, wide receiver from Rice.
And Jose, you told me the other day that he is just a tad faster than his
Yeah,
brother.
I saw the clip of like, they kind of merged the video of McCaffrey running the 40 and his brother, and he's just barely ahead of Christian.
That's just insane. Like we always thought the fastest running back out there was Christian McCaffrey, and now his baby brother is coming in, who's just a
as
tad faster
fast,
than him.
if not faster.
That's insane.
Yeah, but I'm curious to see how the Commanders are going to do now this season. I'm going to be paying close attention to them because my boy from LSU is there. But moving
Yep.
on to pick number 3, the Patriots from North Carolina, Drake May, which they needed a quarterback after years of Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi.
Ugh,
Good Lord.
just throw up in my mouth.
I'm curious to see how the Patriots are going to do too, because I watched May play a good bit this year. He's a decent quarterback, but I'm curious to see how he's going to fit into the NFL. Pick number 4 by the Arizona Cardinals was wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. from Ohio State. I think people expected him to be the first one picked. It was between either him or Neighbors, which we've already talked about. Pick 5 was the Chargers with Joe Alt. 6 was Malik Neighbors, a wide receiver from LSU, going to the New York Giants. Oh, I feel bad for him.
Good luck, because he got
he's
deal with
guaranteed
Daniel Jones.
he's guaranteed to be wide receiver 1, but when that's what's thrown to you,
I'm sorry, I had to do the impression.
God. Hopefully, they'll get the Daniel Jones from a couple years ago where he was actually good, and not the one that was on the same level of Zach Wilson.
Yeah, the year that Daniel Jones was good, where I thought they'd be the dark horse, and they end up being my downfall.
Yeah,
Screw you, Giants.
You with your dark horse, and Will with his being the Bears. Oh,
Ugh.
I will stand by Will's Bears dark horse thing because that on
That was
paper
more
should have
on
been something.
Oh no, I'm
The
just
way they
saying
built
that
defense,
completely
what they
imploded.
had on offense, yeah. But on paper, they should have. They should have been atop that division.
So the Saints
Yeah.
should have been on top on paper as well, but they weren't.
Yes,
We just
correct.
imploded.
Yep.
But moving on, pick number 7 by the Tennessee Titans was J.C. Latham from Alabama. He's an offensive tackle, which, my God, they needed to strengthen their O-line because it was atrocious. Now, here's the big one that we're probably going to spend a minute talking about because it relates to something we said earlier. Now, why in God's name, with pick number 8, did the Atlanta Falcons take Michael Penix Jr.? Why?
Yes, you heard that right. Michael Penix Jr.
Why would they
What
take a quarterback?
in the world? You like the Falcons? The Falcons, the current state, the players or the position they really needed the most was a pass rusher, or hell, I would even throw out an offensive tackle, maybe a linebacker, maybe another weapon. I don't know, but you chose quarterback when you already got one in Christian Kirk, who we mentioned.
I don't think Christian Kirk.
Wrong guy. Sorry. Kirk Cousins. Sorry. Get my guys
Don't
mixed up.
disrespect Big Kirko like that.
You
disrespect
brought
Christian
in
Kirk's
Kirk
good.
Cousins. What?
So that's not disrespectful. Christian Kirk's
Isn't
good.
Christian Kirk a wide receiver?
He is, but it's not
Yes.
disrespectful. He's still good.
But anyway, yeah,
Anyway.
they signed Cousins to a 4-year, $180 million contract. Assuming he plays that entire 4 years, Penix is not going to play till he's 27 or 28 years old.
Yeah, that man's gonna be old. And here's the worst part: you brought your veteran quarterback has been known for injuries the last few seasons, especially last season. You brought in a youngster, a rookie, who has been injury prone his entire college career outside
Especially
of last
that
season.
last game. Good Lord.
It's like Atlanta. What are y'all doing?
My
But
my
here's me.
big thing is like Kirk wasn't even made aware that this was going to happen.
Oh, yeah, Kirk Cousins. I'm about to say Christian Kirk again.
I
Oh
swear to God.
no!
Kirk Cousins was furious
I don't know
about
if
it, and
furious is the word because I haven't actually seen his reaction or anything to it, but the fact that he
Of cour-
wasn't notified about this
No,
until it
no, he
happened.
was. No, him and his camp were upset. It had already came out. Like as soon as they were drafted, his whole
I
camp
didn't
was
see
upset
that.
about it. But see, y'all are missing the bigger picture here. Is yeah, they brought in Penix below Kirk. Yeah, Kirk can be upset. But the thing is, whether Kirk plays for 4 years or whether Kirk gets replaced by Penix because he gets hurt or something, the man was guaranteed 120 million out of 180 million. So who cares? The man got paid like he should have in years past, and that's all that matters. 120 out of 180. He's only has to worry about 60 million over the next 4 seasons. Like that's ridiculous. Like they can be upset, the whole camp, but I mean, to have a pay bank of 120, what's there to be upset about? Let him have the starting job. Oh well.
You're missing
It's
the
about
bigger picture. What's bad for the Falcons is good for us.
this. And as a
Yes,
Saints
so why are
fan,
you complaining that they drafted Penix?
I'm just
Or
baffled by
as the team released? So let's be honest.
no,
I don't know if you
hold up.
guys saw it. The team's social media
don't
released.
don't
I
don't
know
leave
what you're
I
that
gonna
think we
be.
say.
should discuss this.
PG-13 will.
We need to discuss this. It must be
It's
discussed.
just a Michael Penis.
Michael Penix Jr.
I hope to
Oh
God
man.
that was fake because my
quote
God,
unquote.
whoever actually, if it was actually posted, whoever posted that is fired. He's never gonna work again.
Oh
No.
yeah.
That
Give
was
him a raise.
double check your
This man
spelling,
behind
people.
the wheel.
See, people, this is why we go to school to spell. Not really, but you know what I mean. So, but as a Saints fan, I must do this real quick. Y'all screwed up.
Did you just say as a Saints fan I need to do this real quick and then fart? Is that what I just heard?
What the heck?
No, that's me laughing at the Falcons, saying
Okay, it
y'all.
sounded
good
like you made
God.
a fart noise with your mouth. I was like, what was that?
Good Lord. All right, let's keep moving here. Pick number
Yes.
9 in the draft. As we mentioned before, it was Rome Odunze from Washington, wide receiver for the Bears. Give Caleb a weapon, another weapon, I guess, as he already has plenty.
Mhm. Yep.
The Vikings fill the hole left behind with the departure of Kirk Cousins with J.J. McCarthy at pick number 10.
Are you sure it's not Christian? Are you sure it's not Christian Kirk?
I'm sure it's not Christian Kirk, Chris.
It could be Christian
Good
Kirk.
Lord.
Are we
You
sure
never
he
know.
doesn't play quarterback?
He just changed his name.
Yeah.
The question is he going to be the starter, or are they going to let him sit for a bit? I would imagine he's going to be the starter.
Watch him
You
start
draft him
Sam
that
Bradford.
high up, I don't. Oh, who?
I'm sorry, Sam Darnold. You know what I mean.
Was
Chris
that
is
an
messing
accident,
up
or are you just
everybody's
saying
name.
things now?
Jesus.
Sam Bradford. Oh my goodness.
Wrong.
What are we?
Good
Are
Lord.
we playing against the Native Americans? William Bradford.
So, well, no, Sam Bradford used to play for the Rams.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
talking like 08, my boy. You're talking 15 years ago.
Yeah. Yo, I'm old.
My
Okay,
mind
I
went to
accept it.
The
I'm
William
oldest
old.
one here is getting senile. Help him.
He doesn't know what year it is anymore.
All right, let's move on.
Moving on.
Pick number 11. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this man's name, but the Jets got an OT from Penn State. Protect Rodgers, I guess. They don't want a repeat of what happened last year. How much y'all want to bet he's going to get hurt again this coming season?
Oh, I bet my life savings.
I mean, he could.
Man, ain't nobody going to want $2.
I mean, he could,
Good
because
Lord.
how many quarterbacks get hurt every given season?
I bumped it up. I got $3 now.
Patrick. I have $3. God. All right, pick number
Moving on.
12. The Denver Broncos selected Bo Nix from Oregon. I think Bo Nix is going to do okay in the NFL, honestly.
Well, he's with
Who
Sean
gives you
Payton
that
now.
impression?
It's mainly some things that it's not from what I've seen. It's a point that CJ Stroud actually made. He said that a lot of rookies, when they come into the NFL, especially quarterbacks, will have a year where they kind of struggle a bit, where they're trying to figure things out. And what he says, or what CJ thinks will help Bo Nix in this way, is that he's kind of already been through that in college. So he already has found kind of like what works. It just takes a little bit of adjusting to get used to the way things are ran in the NFL. I think he'll be
What do you mean
okay.
he already figured it out in college?
Because in Auburn he was not very good. But as he went on toward the latter part of his college career, he did get better. He was in the running for Heisman. He finished third in Heisman votes this year.
I mean, let's be honest. He left the hardest conference in the nation to the easiest conference in the nation. I would imagine you would get much easier opponents. I'm just saying.
I don't know that struggling in college to being good in college means anything for the NFL.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a whole different world.
this is true.
I'm just
But
saying,
he is.
I don't think he's going to
he
be a
is-
bad quarterback.
Well,
I mean,
he is under the
might not be a
guidance of
bad
Sean
quarterback,
Payton.
but that
So.
doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a good year for him, especially in the division that he's going to be in.
I think he should get the start over Zach Wilson.
Oh God!
You
Imagine if
think,
Sean
yeah.
Payne started. Imagine if Sean Payne started.
I don't
Zach
think
Wilson.
they're going to, especially because later on in this draft, the Broncos also selected a wide receiver from Oregon that Bo Nix played with in college. I think this is pretty much set that he's most likely going to end up being a starter.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The real problem is you're all wrong, and Ben DiNucci is getting the starting job.
Ben DiNucci. Let's go.
God. All right. Pick number
Moving
13
on.
was the Raiders, who drafted Brock Bowers. When
I
they,
thought that was an interesting pick.
yeah, they have other
something
things.
I saw 2 hours ago. Michael Gallup is going to the Raiders as well for a 1-year deal.
Oh, he is?
Oh,
Yep.
oh, nice.
Interesting. He wasn't
Well,
really
that
getting
gives him
many
help.
targets in Dallas already, so maybe he'll
Yeah.
do better.
Yeah, the interesting thing about them getting Brock Bowers is that they drafted a tight end pretty high last year as
First
well.
round. First
Yeah.
round last year.
I couldn't remember how high. And he was like the top tight end in that draft. And you're going to turn around and back-to-back years draft the top tight end in the draft is like, what exactly are they cooking up? They're about to just run the ball 24/7, going double tight ends like that.
I mean, they didn't get a quarterback, right? They're still with the O'Connell.
I'm pretty sure. I'd have to double check. but
Yeah,
I'm
they're
pretty sure.
still rocking with O'Connell.
Yeah, well, there's the thing is that your ceiling, like you've got a good array of weapons now. You've got tight ends, you've got a running back, you've got a pretty solid receiving core. And so now your ceiling is really just coaching and how far Aiden O'Connell can take you, and then defense.
Which I believe they did get a few defensive picks in this draft as well, which should help them out. Not that their defense was terrible last year.
Yeah, I remember someone did in free agency go over there as well that Max Crosby was really happy about. And I can't remember who it was, but they said it was another.
Minshew. That's who's over there in Las Vegas. No, yeah, Gardner Minshew's in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
I
is
was
in
talking
Vegas now.
about on defense.
Yeah, so they're gonna have Gardner Minshew at quarterback over O'Connell, and I guess that makes sense if you go after Brock Bowers as well for a receiving tight end as big as he is as well. Compared to like Jake Stover, like they're both like really big tight ends.
Has
That makes
Minshew
sense.
been
Yeah.
named the starter? officially?
No, he hasn't been named the starter, but I mean the deal that he signed, and then going over there, like
It feels like a
leans-
starting deal.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Anyway, moving
Uh,
on.
We already talked about pick number 14 with the Saints,
Yep.
our offensive tackle. The Indianapolis Colts at 15 got an edge rusher from UCLA. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this man's name. All I know,
So many Hawaiian
it's like
players in this draft.
Laiatu
Yes.
Latu or something like that. I know I
Yeah.
probably butchered
That's
that.
Yes, you
That's
did.
yeah.
I don't know how to say it, but yes, you did.
Yeah, that's why I don't even try. Number 16, Byron Murphy, defensive tackle from Texas, went to the Seahawks, which I guess they kind of do need some help on defense after some of the people they lost this past year.
Yeah, the Seahawks defense has been like just regressed so bad over the years. They just need all the help they can
Oh
get.
yeah. Byron Murphy is a definite force to be reckoned with. I mean, he was up there between him and Tavondre Sweat, like the big, big defensive players to come out of UT over the last couple of years.
Yeah. We also have here for pick number 17, the Vikings taking Dallas Turner, the edge rusher from Alabama. Which, again, the Vikings defense, as we said many times last year, the offense was doing great. The defense was not so much. So as long as they
Yeah.
got some help there, it's a good sign for them.
Hmm.
I've already talked about the Bengals' first-round pick, offensive tackle from Georgia. The Rams at pick 19, another edge rusher, Florida State, Jared Verse.
Which makes sense.
Pittsburgh Steelers
With Aaron-
selected an offensive tackle from Washington. Another name I'm not going to try and pronounce. Now, this one was one that was, I guess, controversial among the Dolphins fans. At 21, they got Chop Robinson from Penn State.
Chop chop.
Why? I wonder why that was so controversial among Dolphins fans.
I'm not sure because and when Ole Miss went up against Penn State in the Peach, was it Peach Bowl? I think one of those big bowl games. Yeah, Peach Bowl. And while this guy didn't play, they talked about him a good bit during the game, and he had amazing stats. Like this dude was definitely their best player on defense. Like he caused the most quarterback pressures. He got the most sacks, I believe. I'm not sure about turnovers. I didn't quite catch that, but what I see, and I'm not sure why Dolphin fans find it controversial either, but I think they got themselves a really good pickup because the Dolphins, they lost half their defense to free agency, so you need to replace
Yeah.
those pieces. So, I'm not sure why Dolphin fans are upset with this either.
I think maybe part of it, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't believe they really got much help for the offensive line, which, as we know in the past, if that offensive line ain't good, bye-bye Tua.
Oh, yeah.
But I'd have to double-check that. I think they win a lot of defense in this draft, which, as you said, that makes sense. But that's the only thing I can think of for why the fans for the Dolphins would be kind of upset. Moving on, though, at number 22, the Eagles drafted, is that Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo, cornerback, which I believe wasn't he the top corner in this draft?
Yes, he was. Yes.
Yeah. So who let the Eagles get him?
I don't know. I guess people just weren't paying attention or something.
Because
Not only that though,
the secondary
but-
was one of their biggest problems last year, and y'all just let them fix it.
but here's the issue because I know we're not going to cover the second round thoroughly like we are the first round.
Yes,
Not
because in the
only-
second round
Not only, hold on.
they got another.
No,
Yeah.
hold on. They get Toledo in the first round, right? The quarterback out of Toledo. Then they turn around in round 2 and go and get Cooper DeJean. I mean, back-to-back corners and top corners at that.
Who let them get
Like not
both?
just like who's out here just letting them stack the defense? And in my opinion, they're trying to rebuild that defense that they had 2 years ago when they made that Super Bowl run. So it's like everyone is just on standby, twiddling their thumbs, and they're watching the Eagles do what they do at draft time and just pull whoever they want, like they did last year, consistently with all those Georgia players. And everyone's just like, huh,
Mhm.
what are they doing over there? Okay, and then continue to let them do it. It's happened it's happened 3 drafts in a row now. It's just insane that, especially Dallas, just letting them get away with it as a division rival and not trying to do anything.
Yeah, it's
It's
mind
odd to
blowing.
me. It's just really odd. But
But
move on to pick 23 by the Jacksonville Jaguars, which they got in a trade that started with Cleveland, went to Houston, then Minnesota, and finally ended up with them. Good Lord. Wide receiver from LSU, Brian Thomas Jr. How I wish he could have been on the Saints, but oh well. I'm happy he's gonna get some use in Jacksonville, which
he's gonna flourish.
they are really like adding receivers after what happened last year with them. They were really spread thin at the position. Gabe Davis in the
Yeah.
offseason. I believe they still have Christian Kirk. There you go, Chris.
Oh, there we go.
And now Brian Thomas Jr. Let's see here. Number 24, Detroit Lions got Terrion Arnold from Alabama, another one of the top corners, which they traded with Dallas to get that one. Again, that's another one I'm not sure. What the heck are the Cowboys doing?
Yeah, who knows? But it's not as bad as compared to what.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
It's almost there.
Yep.
25, Green Bay Packers selected an offensive lineman from Arizona. 26, the Buccaneers got a center from Duke. 27, Cardinals got a defensive end from Missouri, which that came from a trade with Houston. And
here we go.
here's where it gets insane. I want to know this pick was originally supposed to be for the Buffalo Bills at 28, and then out of nowhere, they traded with the Chiefs. Now, tell me here, Chris, who did the Buffalo Bills lose this season on offense?
Oh, let me see. They lost wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. I believe wide receiver 3 as well. I have to double check. But basically, they lost a lot of offense.
They were down,
And
I believe, to what was it? The tight ends and
Yeah.
Shakir.
Yeah, tight ends and wide receiver
So-
4, basically.
Tell me this: why would they trade this to Kansas City when they had basically their pick of the best receivers that were left in this draft? To give it to Kansas City for them to draft Xavier Worthy from Texas, who was the fastest receiver in this draft class. I think he broke the record for the 40.
He did. And this one blew my mind because Bills, what are y'all doing? If I'm a Bills fan, and I'm sure my CEO can agree to this.
Oh, wait, there's gonna be more.
Oh yeah.
It gets worse.
It does.
But like I was saying, 28, the Chiefs got Xavier Worthy, who essentially looks like Tyreek Hill 2.0. Bills, if they win this season, it's on you. Because a receiver was all they needed.
Like, why would you trade down to lose the fastest receiver in the entire NFL draft? Like, that will blow my mind for eternity on how stupid that trade was. And I'm sure Bills fans are furious, but like Jose said, it's about to get worse. So hang in there, folks.
Let's move on here. 29, the Cowboys finally picked an offensive tackle from Oklahoma. Good, protect Dak, give him time to throw. At 30, the Ravens selected a cornerback from Clemson, which they need some help on defense after the people they lost this offseason. 31. Here's where it starts to go again. With the Bills trading back, another receiver gets taken from Florida by the 49ers at pick 31. And then what was supposed to be the Bills pick again at pick 32 for the first round goes to the
You
Panthers,
guessed it.
who draft a wide receiver from South Carolina. So they're really just thinning out the receiver position at this point. Which, by the way, that receiver, good lord, I thought Coach O's accent was hard to understand. This dude got that
L-
thick country accent.
Oh yeah, it's like he has marbles in his mouth and he's trying to talk to you while he has marbles in his mouth. It's like, bruh, what?
I can just tell though those dudes gonna be funny.
Ooh. Oh yeah, keep an eye on this
But
fella
again,
next season.
Bills. What?
What
the
are you
heck?
doing?
Why?
Like, you traded down twice. I mean, if I'm a Bills fan, I'm staying up till 11 o'clock. That's when the first round ended, and we got no draft picks. Oh, I'm mad. I would
My
be
thing
furious.
though is like they got a receiver, I believe from Florida. I can't remember his name in the second round, but like there were so many left up until this point. I believe the only three that were taken were Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, and Brian Thomas Jr. They had the
Yep.
pick of whoever the heck they wanted.
I would never understand the Bills management thought process, because you need receivers, like you need them badly. Instead, you trade down when you know the best receivers were already out there, even in the later rounds. Like, I mean, not later rounds, but later picks. Like, I don't know. That's just, if I'm a Bills fan, I will be worried. And oh boy, if they don't fix that quickly, I got a bad feeling the Bills are in for a long season.
Yeah. I just want to know what was going through their heads with this, because this, like, I don't even understand what they got in return. I don't think it was very much.
I don't know either. I have to look at their at the compensation for the trade, but
But still, this seems like nearly a repeat of, I believe it was 2017. I
yes.
think that was it, when they traded with the Chiefs to get one spot in front of us in the draft, the Saints, that is.
Mhm.
And with that pick, take a wild guess who the Chiefs got. I'll let you take a guess. He's the man
Would it
Josh
be
Allen sees in his nightmares.
Tyreek Hill?
No, Patrick Mahomes.
Yes, that guy. Right. I knew that.
We have the Bills to blame for that.
Oh, Bills.
And you know what's insane? I heard earlier today that the original plan in that draft, if he was still available, the Saints were going to pick him.
Oh, yeah.
One pick away.
We were one pick away from freaking Patrick Mahomes, folks. And not a day goes by, I really wish we had gotten him, but here we are. But who knows? It might work out with us if Spencer Rattler becomes the quarterback of the future. And he looks an awful lot like Patrick Mahomes too.
I'm just saying. So far, all this stuff that's happening is the Bills' fault,
Oh yeah,
and they may have just added to it.
Yep. Like, the Bills just have themselves to blame, and they're really the full blame for what we are now witnessing, the potential of a new dynasty in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs. Thanks a lot, Buffalo.
Well, that covers the first round. I don't think we really need to go much more in depth with that, because if we talk about the second, third, fourth, we're gonna be here for like 3 hours, and we're already
We've already
over.
been here for half of that.
Yeah, we're only an hour 14 in.
That's
That's
not too bad.
almost an hour 30 if you're around.
Yeah, I want to do math.
Technicality, who cares?
And some of us have to be up early for work.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think that should conclude what we've got for this NFL draft episode. By the time we come back for the regular season, or season 2 of the podcast, as we call it, I hope to have a little more improvements here. For those of you at home, you could probably see the improvement we've made so far. A little easier to tell who's
I am
talking
at
when.
home. I cannot see the improvement.
Shut up.
Duh.
Silence follow.
There's
You will see it on the video.
There's a thing called editing. We are not there yet.
I'm literally just looking at a home screen. I see nothing.
Hopefully, it'll help the people watching on YouTube to tell who's talking when a little easier. But until the season starts, I guess we'll do like last year. Come back after preseason is over, give our predictions, and get ready for
And more
the
dark
start of the
horses.
season. Oh God. Yeah, who's it gonna be
yes,
this year? The
dark
Panthers?
horse. It's gonna be the Bears
Maybe.
again.
It's the Bears.
Now Bears. But with that, we will see you all later.